The screen opens in silence. Stars drift like ancient embers across the infinite dark. A voice emerges, calm, reflective, cinematic, as if speaking from within the universe itself. Before there was light, before there was sound, there was a pull, a memory older than time itself. The camera moves through galaxies, past colossal nebulae, tracing invisible lines that bind everything together. Gravity, the unseen hand, is not introduced as a force, but as a storyteller, a patient sculptor that shaped every world, every orbit, every breath. For centuries, humanity believed gravity was constant, unshakable, an eternal rhythm of the cosmos. We trusted it the way we trust the ground beneath our feet. But what if that trust was misplaced? What if the very force that keeps our feet anchored, that holds the planets in their endless dance, could one day falter, or forget? The narration slows, like the heartbeat of a sleeping universe. Imagine, it whispers, a cosmos where the rules no longer hold, where galaxies drift without purpose, where orbits decay, where even the stars forget how to fall. This opening question is not a prediction, but a provocation. The tone balances awe and unease, drawing the viewer into a space between wonder and fear. The visual rhythm alternates between cosmic vastness and intimate stillness. A feather floating downward, a droplet clinging to a leaf, a mountain holding its place against the wind. These earthly images remind us that gravity is not just out there among the stars. It is here shaping our every moment. It defines the curve of a tear, the swing of a pendulum, the rise and fall of tides. And yet, despite this intimacy, we know so little about it. We have named it, measured it, calculated its effects, but we have never truly understood its heart. As the music deepens, the narrative voice grows more personal, almost philosophical. We think of memory as something human, it says, but perhaps the universe remembers too, in the patterns of galaxies, in the slow pull of the Earth on the Moon, in the way gravity repeats itself endlessly, like a thought that never fades. The line lingers in silence, giving the audience a moment to feel the strange intimacy between memory and motion. But even memory can slip. Even constants can crumble. The story hints at anomalies, galaxies spinning too fast, cosmic structures behaving as if the old rules have changed. The imagery shifts, stars bending light like mirrors, vast filaments stretching beyond comprehension, black voids devouring all trace of order. The tone becomes haunting, building tension not through action, but through quiet inevitability. And then, almost gently, the narrator asks, what happens when the universe begins to forget? The question echoes through the cosmic imagery like a ripple through spacetime. It is not a warning, it is an invitation. An invitation to witness the unraveling of something ancient and sacred. The closing moments of the section bring the perspective back to Earth. We see people gazing at the night sky, unaware of the vast memory that surrounds them, a memory that holds their every movement, every breath. The scene fades to black as a single sentence appears. This is the story of when gravity loses its memory. The pacing is deliberate, cinematic, and reflective. The audience is left suspended between awe and dread, drawn into a mystery that feels both cosmic and deeply personal. The tone is neither purely scientific nor purely poetic, but a fusion of both, the language of discovery wrapped in the rhythm of myth. Each word hints at what is to come, a journey not just through space but through the fragile memory of the universe itself. The sound of wind passes through an open field. A single apple tree stands beneath a pale sun, its branches heavy with fruit. One apple trembles, breaks free and falls, a moment so ordinary it almost escapes notice. Yet in that quiet fall lies the beginning of humanity's understanding of the invisible. The camera lingers on the motion, the curve of descent, the weight of inevitability, before dissolving into images of stars collapsing into orbits, moons circling planets, galaxies spiraling like seeds in slow motion. Every fall, from apple to planet, is the same story told in different scales. The narration begins. From the smallest drop of rain to the dance of entire galaxies, there is one rule that governs all. A whisper in the fabric of existence that tells everything where to go, down, inward, toward the unseen center of all things. Gravity. It is not a law we invented, it is a truth we discovered, or rather, remembered. This section unfolds as both history and revelation, the story of how human beings first recognized the force that binds everything together, and how, in doing so, we glimpsed the structure of the universe itself. Centuries ago, before Newton gave it a name, gravity was myth. Ancient civilizations told stories of gods who pulled the sun across the sky, of unseen hands that guided the stars. To them, the fall of an object was divine intention, not mathematics. It took a restless mind beneath an English tree to transform myth into law. Isaac Newton, seeing that apple fall, didn't just observe a fruit hitting the ground, he saw the earth pulling, space curving, reality whispering in numbers. His realization was simple yet profound. The same force that draws an apple downward is the same that keeps the moon in motion. The heavens and the earth, once divided by imagination, were united by gravity's embrace. The screen shifts to soft candlelight and parchment, Newton writing his Principia Mathematica, a book that would become the spine of physical reality for centuries. His equations became scripture for scientists, the code that decoded the cosmos. The narration grows solemn, almost reverent. With one revelation, Newton brought order to the sky. He made the invisible predictable. The universe became knowable. But time, like gravity, bends everything. Centuries later, a young patent clerk in Bern would look at Newton's universe and see cracks in its certainty. Albert Einstein imagined space and time as a single, woven fabric, flexible, curved by mass, alive. Gravity was not a pull but a bend, not a force but a shape. In Einstein's mind, the cosmos became a stage that deformed under its actors. The narration lingers on the visual, planets sinking gently into invisible wells of spacetime, light itself bending around unseen gravity wells. The imagery feels dreamlike, poetic, physics rendered as art. And yet, even in Einstein's perfection, there was a whisper of something missing. His equations worked beautifully for the massive and the vast, stars, galaxies, the universe itself, but they faltered in the realm of the tiny. The narration grows quieter, more introspective. What happens when you shrink the universe down to the smallest particle? When you dive beneath atoms, beneath fields, beneath the known? In that infinitesimal world, gravity loses its grip, its laws begin to tremble. The perfect curve of Einstein's spacetime begins to blur, like a photograph fading at the edges. The tone of the story shifts, from certainty to unease. The camera pulls back again to show the scale of human progress. Rockets lifting from the Earth, telescopes peering into the void, sensors reading the faintest ripples in space. The narrator continues, "We have mapped the stars, measured their distance, felt the tremor of colliding black holes. Yet the more we know, the less we understand. Gravity, the most familiar of all forces, remains the most mysterious. It is everywhere, yet nowhere to be found in the quantum world. It governs all motion, yet resists unification with the rest of physics. It is law and paradox, constant and enigma. Images of falling objects blur into collapsing stars, supernovas, waves rippling through spacetime. The pacing accelerates, matching the growing sense of awe. Each visual beat reinforces a theme, that what began as a simple fall has led us to the edge of understanding itself. The narration rises again. The fall that defined everything did not stop at Newton's tree. It continues, in every experiment, every question, every dream of understanding the cosmos. We are still falling endlessly through the gravity of our own curiosity. Then the tone softens. The screen returns to the tree, still, silent, centuries later. The same sunlight, the same motion of wind. The narrator's voice lowers, carrying the weight of reflection. Perhaps gravity is more than a force. Perhaps it is memory itself, the universe remembering its shape, its desire to stay whole. The section ends not with an answer but a feeling, the sense that every discovery, no matter how complete, is only a step deeper into mystery. The music fades into silence. The apple once again begins to fall. The night sky opens in silence, a slow pan across the Milky Way, a swirl of light and shadow stretched across eternity. The stars seem still, eternal, unmoving. But hidden beneath that illusion of stillness lies motion, vast, accelerating, relentless. Every galaxy, every cluster, every atom of light is moving away. The narration begins softly, almost whispering, the universe is expanding. But not slowly, faster and faster still. Something unseen is pushing it apart. The voice carries both awe and dread, as if unveiling a truth too large for comfort. We once imagined the cosmos as a grand clockwork, predictable and serene. Gravity, that old sculptor, would pull the scattered fragments of the Big Bang back together in time. The universe would breathe out and then, in some distant epoch, breathe in again. It was a comforting story, the promise of balance, of return. But the data told another tale. When astronomers peered into the distant reaches of space, they found galaxies drifting apart at speeds that defied all understanding. The great cosmic breath wasn't slowing, it was quickening. Something was rewriting the rhythm. Visuals shift to deep space images, faint redshifted galaxies, their light stretched thin across billions of years. The narrator continues, "These galaxies are not merely moving. They are fleeing. And gravity, once the keeper of order, stands powerless to stop them." The tone grows darker, more introspective. The pull that once united stars and worlds now seems to be losing its grip. In the grand architecture of existence, cracks are beginning to form. Scientists called it the acceleration of the universe, a phrase too calm for what it means. It implies motion but hides the fear that underlies it. In the laboratories and observatories of the world, astronomers began to ask the unthinkable. What if gravity, the oldest of all forces, is fading? What if the cosmic memory of attraction, the instinct that pulls everything toward everything else, is beginning to blur? The question hangs like dust in starlight, beautiful and terrifying. The visuals turn to cosmic contrast, a cluster of galaxies spinning in hypnotic unison, followed by the quiet loneliness of intergalactic space, vast, cold, and empty. The narrator speaks, "Imagine the universe as a great web, each galaxy a note in a song of gravity. For billions of years that song held its rhythm. But now the notes are drifting out of tune." The poetic cadence deepens the mystery, blending science and sorrow, making the audience feel the scale of what is at stake, not the fall of worlds but the loss of coherence itself. We look back at the evidence, supernovae burning in the distance, their light reaching us across eons. They should have dimmed in predictable ways. But they didn't. They shone fainter than expected, as though the space between us and them had stretched more than our equations allowed. The narration slows, the light betrayed the laws. The universe, it seemed, was running away from its own gravity. The screen shows archival footage of astronomers, their eyes reflecting the glow of data screens, the flicker of doubt behind their discoveries. Then comes the contrast. The visual rhythm shifts from scientific imagery to human emotion. A child stares at the night sky, pointing upward. A pendulum swings in slow motion. A candle flame bends in unseen air. These images remind us that gravity isn't only cosmic, it's intimate. The same law that fails among galaxies still holds the apple to the earth, the ocean to the moon. The narrator's voice softens. "Down here, gravity still remembers us. But out there, among the stars, something is forgetting." The tone turns almost philosophical. Perhaps it's not that gravity is weaker, the narrator suggests, but that something else is stronger, a new whisper in the void, undoing the memory of attraction. The phrase lingers as the camera moves through dark interstellar space, where galaxies glimmer faintly like embers drifting apart. The pace slows to a hush, building suspense through stillness. In the next sequence we witness a simulation, an expanding web of galaxies stretching until its threads thin to nothing. The visuals are hypnotic, almost tragic. The narrator's tone carries a haunting calm. What we see is not explosion but erasure. A universe once bound by gravity is dissolving into distance. The emotion peaks here, a mix of scientific wonder and existential grief. The cosmos isn't just expanding, it's forgetting how to hold itself together. The narration introduces the next layer of tension. If gravity's strength can fade with time, if the force that binds the stars can weaken, then what else might the universe forget? The question is rhetorical yet heavy, hinting at deeper decay, of matter, of time, of memory itself. The scene cuts between galaxies vanishing into darkness and the Earth turning beneath clouds, serene and fragile. The juxtaposition builds emotional resonance. The audience feels the weight of a truth that is both distant and personal. As the music swells, the camera drifts backward, away from stars, away from clusters, until even the light fades. The narration concludes, "Once, gravity wrote the script of the cosmos, a story of pull and balance, of orbit and return. But now that story is changing. The author has begun to forget its own words." The music fades into a single, trembling note. In the silence that follows, the last image remains. Galaxies suspended like frozen sparks, drifting farther apart with each heartbeat of the universe. The tone is haunting, poetic, unresolved, a perfect bridge to the mysteries that await in the next chapter. A vast ocean of stars fills the screen, a cosmic sea without shore. Their light flickers softly, fragile against the infinite dark. The narrator's voice enters, low and reverent. "There is something out there, something greater than gravity, greater than all we know, an invisible hand pushing the universe apart." The words hang in the silence like a secret finally spoken. This is not just the story of gravity fading, it is the story of its rival, a force so mysterious it defies imagination, dark energy. The camera moves through distant galaxies drifting away from each other, their paths gently accelerated by an unseen power. The narration deepens. It is not a wind, not a field, not even a presence we can measure directly. And yet, it drives everything. Every second, every heartbeat of the cosmos, this hidden energy expands space itself. The tone is both hypnotic and unsettling, beauty and terror interwoven. Scientists discovered its fingerprint not through sight, but through absence. Galaxies moving too quickly, light stretched too far, distances defying logic. It was as if the universe were filled with an invisible pressure, a quiet rebellion against its own gravity. The narration grows darker. We call it dark energy, but that name is a placeholder, a confession that we do not know what it is, only that it is everywhere. Visuals shift, from swirling galaxies to the emptiness between them. The void is no longer lifeless. It pulses faintly, alive with invisible motion. The narrator whispers, "For every particle of matter, for every photon of light, there is 1,000 times more of this unseen energy, silent, cold, expanding everything it touches." The contrast builds, the luminous beauty of matter dwarfed by the immensity of the unseen. We return to the scientists, faces illuminated by computer screens, tracing data points across charts of cosmic acceleration. The music is slow, almost mournful. At first, the voice says, they thought the instruments were wrong, that no universe could expand faster over time. It violated reason, violated gravity itself. But the data did not lie. The expansion was real. The cosmos was running away from its own center. And whatever was pushing it was doing so with increasing strength. The tone shifts from wonder to quiet dread. Imagine a universe not held together but driven apart, the narrator continues. A force that does not attract but repels. A power that grows as it empties. The pacing slows as we visualize space stretching, galaxies like flecks of dust on an inflating balloon, receding until their light fades beyond reach. The image evokes both awe and loss, a slow unbinding of everything once connected. The voice reflects philosophically, for centuries, gravity was the symbol of unity, of order. It was the music that kept the universe in time. But dark energy, it is dissonance. A whisper of chaos, rewriting the rhythm of creation. The visuals merge cosmic expansion with human emotion, waves breaking apart, strands of fabric unraveling, the sound of wind tearing through empty halls. The narration softens, perhaps the universe is not dying. Perhaps it is simply forgetting how to stay whole. Dark energy is everywhere, in every cubic centimeter of space, even here between us and the air we breathe. The narration grows intimate, lowering its voice as if confiding a secret. You are surrounded by it now. It passes through you, through every molecule, every atom. It expands the space between your thoughts, the silence between your heartbeats. You cannot see it, but it defines your distance from every star. The tone is poetic, eerie, immersive, transforming a scientific concept into a visceral experience. The visuals shift to contrast, human hands touching glass, water rippling in slow motion, then cutting back to the cosmic scale, galaxies drifting endlessly. If gravity is the memory that binds, the narrator says, then dark energy is the forgetfulness that separates. Each word lands like a weightless truth. The emotional contrast builds tension. Two forces locked in an eternal dance, one holding on, the other letting go. The music rises, a deep, resonant hum, as we transition to the philosophical core of the section. Some believe dark energy is a property of space itself, the breath of the vacuum, the quiet hum of existence. Others see it as a ghost of creation, the leftover echo of the Big Bang, still expanding into forever. And some think it is not energy at all but entropy, the slow unraveling of the universe's memory. The narration lingers on the final word, giving it time to sink in. We see simulations of the far future, galaxies slipping beyond one another's reach, stars fading, night growing deeper. As the universe expands, light will stretch until it is lost. Gravity will weaken, bonds will break. One day the night sky itself will go dark. And when that happens, the universe will no longer remember its own beginning. The visuals fade toward black, the stars dimming one by one. Then silence. A single voice, barely above a whisper. But perhaps this is not decay. Perhaps this is evolution, the cosmos changing its story, shedding its memory to make room for something new. The music swells softly, mournful yet full of awe. The section closes with a cinematic contrast, the camera returning from the void to the Earth's surface, a view of dawn spreading across the horizon. The light touches the oceans, the mountains, the cities below. The narrator speaks the final line with measured calm. Gravity pulls us together. Dark energy pulls us apart. Between the two lies everything we have ever known. The final note lingers like breath, dissolving into silence, the sound of the universe expanding. The scene opens with a slow glide through the cosmic web, luminous filaments of galaxies connected by invisible strands. The voice enters softly like an echo from the beginning of time. Space is not empty. It breathes, it bends, it remembers. The music is subdued, ethereal. The camera drifts closer to a cluster of galaxies, revealing the invisible tension that holds them together. Space itself stretches like fabric, a living medium that curves beneath the weight of stars. We once thought of space as nothing, an endless stage upon which matter performed. But that illusion has fallen away. Space is not the background of reality, it is reality. It can twist, ripple, and fold. It can store energy, distort time, and carry waves across the void. Yet what happens when that fabric begins to weaken, when the threads of spacetime start to fray? The narrator's tone turns more intimate. If the universe has memory, then space is its mind. And what we are seeing now may be the first signs of that mind beginning to fade. The visuals deepen, gravitational lensing around massive galaxies, invisible warps bending light like reflections in rippling water. The effect is hypnotic, dreamlike. The narrator continues, wherever there is mass, space bends. Wherever there is motion, time slows. Together they weave the cosmic fabric, elegant, eternal, or so we believed. The tempo slows, drawing the audience into reflection. The comforting certainty of physics starts to unravel. In laboratories on Earth, tiny clues emerge. Measurements that defy prediction, signals that hint at subtle distortions in the gravitational field. Physicists speak of a universe expanding unevenly, of regions where spacetime might not behave the same way it once did. The camera moves through simulation imagery, the gridlines of spacetime stretching unevenly, bending like aging cloth. Perhaps space, the voice suggests, is not as ageless as we thought. Perhaps it too erodes with time, thinning, loosening, forgetting the shape it once held. The tone becomes darker, more philosophical. Imagine a painting, the narrator says, its colors vibrant at first but fading as centuries pass. The image is still there but less sharp, less certain. What if spacetime itself is that painting, and we are watching its colors drain away? The visual parallels are poetic, galaxies fading, then dissolving into a soft wash of color. The effect is melancholy, a cosmic stillness filled with quiet fear. Cut to scenes of early scientists. Einstein's equations sprawled across chalkboards, his hand tracing the curvature of space. Then shift to modern physicists surrounded by data screens, the faint glow of cosmic background radiation maps reflected in their eyes. Einstein showed us that gravity is geometry, the bending of the cosmic stage. But what if that geometry is no longer stable? What if the lines of reality itself are beginning to tremble? The question lingers like static in the air. As we drift further into the cosmic imagery, the narration grows quieter. Every ripple, every gravitational wave, every distortion of space is a memory, the universe remembering its past in motion. When two black holes collide, the fabric shudders. When a star collapses, space records its fall. But what happens when the recording medium itself begins to decay? The music drops to a faint hum, a heartbeat of uncertainty. The pacing shifts now, slower, reflective, as if time itself were stretching. The narrator draws a human parallel. We measure time by the ticking of clocks, by the rhythm of decay, by memory. But if spacetime falters, what happens to the clock of the universe? Could the rhythm itself be breaking? The imagery moves through clock gears dissolving into stardust, light trails bending and then fading into nothing. The emotional tone is not fear but sorrow, the sorrow of something ancient slipping away. The story returns to the cosmic scale, filaments of galaxies pulling apart, dark voids widening, the cosmic web loosening like old threads. The structure of the universe, the narrator says, is a record of every gravitational interaction since the beginning of time. If that structure changes, if the geometry itself begins to distort, then it means the universe is losing coherence, losing the map of its own creation. The phrasing is precise, lyrical, cinematic. Pause. Then a whisper, the fabric that fades. The words are repeated like an invocation. The screen fills with the image of the universe from the cosmic microwave background, the faint radiation from the dawn of time. These ancient patterns, the voice explains, are the fingerprints of a young universe, written in spacetime itself. But even those fingerprints are changing. The universe remembers less clearly with every passing billion years. The pacing tightens now, carrying a sense of inevitability. As expansion continues, the very texture of space becomes thinner, the narrator continues. Light must travel farther. Waves of gravity stretch wider. And one day the distance between particles will grow so vast that even the laws connecting them may dissolve. The visuals show an emptying cosmos, stars dimming, structures unraveling. The tone is reverent, tragic, but deeply beautiful. The narration turns philosophical once more. We think of memory as the persistence of information. But what if memory also depends on structure, on the fabric that holds it? When that structure fades, information fades with it. Gravity, light, matter, all stories written into a medium that may itself be wearing thin. The imagery becomes surreal, lines of spacetime glowing faintly, then fraying into threads of light that dissolve into darkness. Finally, the narrator's voice softens, like a whisper from the void. Perhaps the universe will not end in fire or collapse. Perhaps it will end in forgetting, as space itself releases its grip on everything it once held. The stars will fade, the orbits will loosen, the very geometry of existence will drift away. The screen goes nearly black, only a faint pulse of light remaining, the heartbeat of fading spacetime. The closing words arrive gently, almost like a sigh. The universe was born from memory, from the first vibration, the first ripple in the dark. And one day, it may return to that same silence, when even the fabric of reality forgets what it once was. The music fades into a soft hum, like the background radiation of the cosmos itself, ancient, persistent, fading slowly into nothing. The sound begins before the image appears, a low, distant hum, deep and resonant, like the vibration of something ancient stirring beneath eternity. The camera slowly fades in on an image of deep space, not stars, not galaxies, but a faint mist of light spread across the blackness. The narrator's voice enters softly, almost like a whisper in the void. Before the stars, before the galaxies, before time as we know it, there was sound. A whisper left behind by the birth of everything. The tone is solemn, reverent, evoking both awe and loneliness. The visuals expand, showing a wave spreading outward from a single, blinding point, the echo of creation itself. This faint radiation, the voice continues, is the oldest light in the universe, the cosmic microwave background. It is the afterglow of the beginning, still traveling through time, still carrying the memory of the first moment. The imagery is ethereal, soft gradients of color, temperature maps of the universe glowing like cosmic fingerprints. The narration speaks over it like a historian of infinity. It is not silence that defines the cosmos. It is resonance, an ancient hum, the music of the universe cooling from fire into form. As the scene unfolds, the camera moves through vast fields of data and simulation, each pulse of color representing temperature differences smaller than a fraction of a degree. This, the narrator explains, is the oldest image ever taken. Not of stars or planets, but of the structure that would one day become them. The faint ripples in this light are the blueprints of galaxies yet to exist, the first whispers of cosmic architecture. The music behind the narration deepens, a steady pulse echoing the rhythm of the universe's earliest vibrations. The tone becomes more intimate, the visuals fading from galaxies to the soft glow of candlelight reflecting on water. Imagine the moment before time began to flow, a sea of energy perfectly uniform. Then something changed. A small fluctuation. A breath. The narration slows, each word deliberate. That tiny imperfection broke the symmetry of eternity, and from that, everything was born. The visuals show ripples spreading through a dark ocean of light, small disturbances growing into vast waves of matter and gravity. It was not perfection that created the universe, the narrator says, but its first flaw. As the realization settles, the camera zooms into one of the faint ripples, following it as it grows into a cluster of galaxies. The voice grows slightly more urgent. In every wave of radiation, in every flicker of cosmic noise, lies the memory of that first expansion, the moment when the universe began to build itself. The hum grows louder, layered with tones that resemble the deep resonance of a choir. The effect is both cosmic and sacred, as though the universe itself is breathing. Then the tone shifts again, from reverent to haunting. But this echo is fading, the narrator warns. Every second the universe expands. The original sound stretches thinner, colder, quieter. The voice of creation is disappearing into silence. The visuals dissolve into near blackness, with only faint traces of color remaining, the last whispers of that ancient sound. One day there will be no trace of it left. The universe will go silent again, and its beginning will exist only as memory. The pacing slows to stillness. The camera lingers on a map of the cosmic microwave background, a vast canvas of faint red and blue spots, each representing slight differences in energy. When we look at this, the narrator continues, we are not just seeing radiation. We are hearing the echoes of the first heartbeat, the vibration that set everything in motion, the rhythm that continues within us, unnoticed but eternal. The sound design subtly introduces a human heartbeat, blending seamlessly with the cosmic hum. Our atoms were born from those ripples. Our blood carries the same pulse that once moved through the newborn universe. The visuals begin to merge, galaxies becoming neurons, light becoming synaptic flashes. Perhaps this echo was not merely a sound, the voice reflects, but an instruction, a resonance that continues to organize everything from stars to thought. The idea feels intimate and immense at once, that the hum of creation is still present, vibrating quietly in the space between everything. In the vast silence of existence, the narrator whispers, nothing has truly stopped singing. The imagery softens into abstraction, faint waves moving through darkness, patterns of interference like ripples in an infinite sea. Every sound we make, the voice says, is an imitation of that first vibration. Every song, every word, every heartbeat is a fragment of the same cosmic echo. The tone turns poetic, almost spiritual. We are not apart from the universe's first sound. We are its continuation, its echo-given form. The section moves toward closure with a single lingering question. If the universe still hums with the memory of its creation, the narrator asks quietly, then perhaps it never truly ended. Perhaps creation is not a past event, but an ongoing act, a symphony still being played in frequencies we can no longer hear. The visuals fade to the faint outline of a galaxy, pulsing slowly, rhythmically, like a heartbeat in the dark. As the music recedes into silence, the voice delivers the final line in a tone that balances mystery and awe. We are listening to the echo of the beginning, and perhaps within it, the beginning is listening back. The screen fades to black, leaving only the low hum, soft, endless, eternal. The scene opens in the darkness between galaxies, a vast, cold ocean of nothingness stretching beyond imagination. The camera glides through it slowly, as faint points of light begin to appear in the distance, each one representing a hidden world of gravity and time. The narrator's voice enters, calm yet filled with quiet intensity. Every galaxy, every star, every atom follows an invisible pattern. Beneath the chaos of the cosmos, there is order, a lattice of unseen connections holding everything in place. The tone is reverent, a mixture of wonder and revelation, as if we are being led into a secret the universe has kept for billions of years. The visuals shift to computer simulations, glowing filaments stretching across the screen like a neural network made of galaxies. Astronomers call it the cosmic web, the narrator explains. It is the universe's hidden architecture, an immense network of filaments made of dark matter and gas, spanning billions of light years. Galaxies gather along these threads like dew on a spider's web, connected by gravity, shaped by forces we can barely comprehend. The music deepens, resonant and meditative, as the camera dives through these filaments, revealing the elegant structure that underlies the chaos of creation. Look closely, the voice continues, and the resemblance is haunting. The cosmic web mirrors the neural networks in our own brains. The same branching, the same clustering, the same balance between chaos and order. Is it coincidence, or a reflection of a universal blueprint? The image transitions, galaxies morph into neurons, the brain's electrical signals flashing like supernovas. In the smallest patterns of thought and the largest structures of space, we find symmetry. It is as if the universe is thinking, and we are a part of its mind. A moment of silence follows. The music fades to a low hum. Yet, most of this structure is invisible, the narrator says, voice dropping almost to a whisper. Only a small fraction of the universe glows with light. The rest, dark matter, dark energy, remains unseen, untouchable, yet it shapes everything we know. The visuals show galaxies bending light, distorted arcs curving through space. What we see is only the surface. Beneath it lies the skeleton of reality, silent, invisible, indispensable. The scene turns more philosophical. The narrator continues, for centuries we thought the universe was a random scattering of stars. But as our instruments grew sharper, the illusion of chaos began to dissolve. We discovered threads connecting galaxies like veins in a cosmic body. We began to realize that structure is not an accident, it is destiny. The imagery shows the cosmic web shimmering, each filament pulsing faintly with energy. Every cluster, every void, every curve of light is the result of gravity's patient hand, sculpting eternity one particle at a time. The pacing slows. The camera pulls back to reveal an incomprehensible scale, trillions of galaxies connected in vast flowing streams. Imagine, the voice says softly, the universe as a living organism, breathing through the rhythm of gravity and time. Each galaxy a cell. Each cluster a heartbeat. Each filament a pathway for the flow of creation. The words carry an emotional gravity, awe tinged with fragility, as if the narrator is describing not just a structure, but a sacred pattern hidden beneath existence itself. Then the tone shifts again, from wonder to unease. But there's something strange about this architecture, the narrator continues. When scientists map the largest structures of the universe, they find filaments looping back, patterns repeating, voids arranged in ways that defy randomness. It is as if the cosmos were built according to rules that echo through every scale of reality, from atoms to galaxies. The visuals pulse between microscopic and cosmic images, molecular lattices, coral growth, thunderclouds, and galaxy clusters, all following eerily similar geometries. The narration grows more reflective. This pattern of repetition, this fractal order, it suggests that the universe may not simply exist but know how to build itself. From the quantum fields that ripple beneath atoms to the galactic bridges that span light years, there is a logic, a syntax, guiding matter into form. The music swells with strings and low percussion, evoking both majesty and dread. Perhaps this architecture was not designed in the way we understand design. Perhaps it is self-aware, a mindless intelligence woven into the very code of reality. A close-up of a glowing filament fills the screen, light traveling along it like a pulse. Every node where galaxies gather is like a synapse, the narrator says softly. Energy moves, information flows, stars are born and die, and the web remembers. The phrasing lingers, poetic and mysterious. Maybe memory is not a human invention. Maybe the universe itself remembers, every expansion, every collapse, every whisper of creation echoing through its endless architecture. The music quiets again, returning to a haunting, minimal tone. The visuals zoom out one final time, revealing the entire structure of the cosmic web, a glowing organism floating in the dark. We once believed we were small, the narrator concludes, voice deep with awe. But the patterns that shape galaxies also shape us. The same architecture that binds the universe holds our thoughts together. The same network that connects stars may connect souls. As the final image fades to black, a single line remains, spoken in near silence. The universe is not chaos pretending to be order. It is order pretending to be chaos. The hum returns, low, ancient, eternal, as though the universe itself is breathing in rhythm with the words. The section ends on that lingering vibration, leaving the audience suspended between revelation and mystery, uncertain whether what they've just seen is science or something far greater. The camera opens on a slow pan over an ancient landscape, mountains worn smooth by time, rivers carving silent paths through valleys of mist. The light is low, almost sacred. A quiet voice begins to speak. Everything that exists carries the memory of its own beginning. The stones beneath your feet remember the stars they once were. The air remembers the oceans that once covered the earth. And somewhere within that vast chain of memory, gravity binds every story together. The tone feels meditative, as if the film has shifted from the cosmic to the personal, from the scale of galaxies to the intimacy of our own planet. The visuals dissolve into images of the night sky reflected on the surface of water. For most of human history, the narrator continues, we believed gravity was simple, a downward pull, a law written into nature's bones. But when Newton looked at a falling apple and saw the moon instead, he realized something profound. Gravity was not a force acting upon us, it was a relationship. Every particle, every planet, every star was bound in an invisible conversation, remembering one another through motion. The tone deepens, the sound of wind blending with soft orchestral strings. Newton's idea changed everything, the voice says. He showed us that memory and connection were not just human experiences, they were woven into the very structure of the universe. We see pages turning in an old manuscript, equations written in ink by candlelight. But Newton's law, as perfect as it seemed, was static. It did not breathe. It did not evolve. It did not forget. The visuals shift, stars warp, space bends, and the apple falls again, but this time through a curved grid of light. Then came Einstein, the narrator whispers, and with him, a revelation: gravity was not a pull at all. It was memory shaped into geometry. A sphere rolls across a flexible fabric, distorting space and time around it. Mass tells space how to curve, the voice says, and space tells mass how to move. In that curvature lies remembrance, not a force but the shape of history itself. The scene becomes increasingly cinematic. Galaxies spiral like ink in water. Light bends around unseen forms. Einstein's equations were not just mathematics, the narrator says, they were poetry, the universe remembering its own motion. The music rises softly, harmonizing with the visuals of cosmic dance. Every orbit is an act of memory. Every falling star is the universe rehearsing its past. But even Einstein's brilliance, the narrator adds, could not explain everything. His equations spoke of perfect continuity, of time and space flowing endlessly. Yet, at the edges, near black holes near the beginning, those equations tremble. They falter. As if the memory they describe grows unstable. The tone darkens slightly, the visuals shifting to the event horizon of a black hole. Light bends and vanishes, drawn into silence. At the threshold of gravity's strongest hold, the voice murmurs, memory begins to blur. The imagery grows hypnotic, the gravitational well consuming light, time stretching infinitely. Black holes are where gravity's memory folds in on itself, the narrator continues. What falls within is never lost, yet it can never return. Information, the code of existence, is trapped beyond a veil. For decades, scientists believed it was destroyed forever. But destruction breaks the rule of the universe. Nothing truly disappears. So where does that memory go? A long pause lets the question linger. The audience is drawn into the paradox, the tension between knowledge and oblivion. Stephen Hawking proposed that black holes radiate energy, a slow evaporation of existence. But if they vanish, what happens to the memory they hold? The tone becomes both scientific and spiritual. Perhaps as the black hole fades, the memory it consumed is written back into the fabric of space, dispersed as whispers of quantum light. The camera pans over faint ripples in spacetime, soft waves of distortion glowing in darkness. The narration softens, introspective. In this way, gravity is not merely a force but an archivist, recording, erasing, and rewriting the story of everything that ever was. We see data streams, stars collapsing, galaxies spinning, all moving with purpose. It is a cosmic historian, storing memory in the curvature of time. The perspective then shifts again, from the infinite to the human. You feel it every moment, the narrator says. The pull that keeps your feet on the ground is the same that binds the galaxies above you. The same law that shapes black holes also guides the tide against the shore. You are made of memory, not metaphorically but literally. Every atom in your body has felt the universe's gravitational touch since the dawn of creation. The tone becomes intimate, awe-filled, almost spiritual. Images flash, a child looking at the stars, hands brushing against water, dust rising in sunlight. What we call gravity, the narrator says, is the invisible thread that ties all moments together. It is not just the story of falling but of belonging. Every fall is a return, every orbit a reminder that nothing is ever truly lost. As the music swells, the narration turns reflective again. And yet, gravity's memory may not be perfect. It may evolve, change, even fade. Just as a mind forgets to make room for new experiences, the cosmos may let go of certain forms to allow others to rise. What if the forgetting is not failure but transformation? The visuals show the cycle of life, stars dying, nebulae birthing new stars, planets forming from dust. In that forgetting, the universe learns how to remember differently. The section closes on a slow, meditative note. The image of a falling apple returns, floating now in slow motion through space. Newton saw the fall, the voice says. Einstein saw the curve. But perhaps neither saw the truth, that gravity is not a law but a living memory. One that grows, falters, and dreams along with the universe itself. The camera pulls back from the apple to reveal Earth in the distance. Blue, fragile, beautiful. The final line is almost a whisper. Every fall, every rise, every breath, is gravity remembering. Silence follows, the sound of deep space, endless and still. Darkness fills the frame, not empty darkness but textured, living, alive with faint whispers of light. A low, resonant tone hums beneath the silence. Slowly the image fades into view. A black hole suspended in the void, its event horizon shimmering with distorted light. The narrator's voice enters softly, like a secret being told across eternity. There are places in the universe where gravity's memory becomes too heavy to hold. Places where time fractures, light bends, and information collapses into silence. We call them black holes. The camera drifts closer, a gravitational well pulling the viewer in. Around the black hole, space itself bends like glass. Stars twist, colors stretch, light loops endlessly around the invisible core. Black holes are not objects, the narrator continues, they are events, boundaries where memory itself dissolves. Once something crosses that horizon, it can never return. To fall in is to be forgotten by the universe. The music deepens, the sense of scale expanding beyond comprehension. But then a pause. The tone shifts from fear to curiosity. And yet, the narrator whispers, we must ask, forgotten by what? If gravity holds the memory of all things, can it truly lose what it has taken? The question lingers like an echo through empty space. The visuals cut between computer simulations and vast cosmic imagery. Collapsing stars, swirling accretion disks, jets of light erupting from unseen centers. For decades, scientists believed that black holes were the ultimate erasers, cosmic voids where the record of reality ended. But then came Hawking. In the 1970s, the narrator explains, Stephen Hawking discovered something astonishing. Black holes are not silent. They whisper. A faint sound emerges in the background, soft, rhythmic pulses. Through a process of quantum fluctuation, black holes emit a faint radiation, Hawking radiation. The universe's darkest places are not entirely mute. They are leaking information. The imagery becomes more abstract, particles flickering in and out of existence near the event horizon, light escaping from the darkness. This revelation changed everything, the narrator says. If black holes evaporate over time, where does their memory go? Does it vanish? Or does it return, transformed? The question feels both scientific and spiritual, blurring the line between physics and philosophy. The visuals transition to an ethereal simulation, the black hole shrinking slowly as it radiates energy, a dying star's shadow fading into the void. If a black hole disappears, the narrator continues, the information it once consumed must go somewhere. But where? Some believe it remains encoded in the radiation itself, scattered, scrambled, impossible to read but never lost. The tone is one of reverence, as though describing the last heartbeat of a god. Others, the narrator explains, believe something more extraordinary. Perhaps black holes do not destroy memory at all. Perhaps they store it, not within but beyond. In the hidden dimensions of spacetime, in the fabric of reality itself. The music swells, and the visuals expand into fractal geometries, hinting at unseen realms folded into the edges of existence. If so, the narrator says, then what falls into a black hole is not lost, it is transformed into another kind of existence. Gravity's memory does not end at the event horizon. It continues, written into the quantum code of the cosmos. The tone shifts to one of wonder, the visuals becoming poetic, waves of light flowing through darkness, particles dancing like fireflies. A black hole, the narrator says, is not a grave but a doorway, a place where memory changes state, where energy becomes meaning. The camera moves closer and closer to the event horizon until the light bends into infinite circles. As we approach, the narration slows, words falling like echoes. At the edge, time stretches infinitely. A second for you is an eternity for the universe. To fall toward the horizon is to move into stillness, to become part of spacetime's endless memory. The image freezes, a particle caught at the edge of falling forever. From the outside it never crosses. From within it never returns. Between those two truths lies the most mysterious question in physics. What happens to information? The narrator's tone becomes more philosophical, more human. In many ways, black holes mirror us. We too carry memories we cannot retrieve. We too hold moments that vanish into silence. But even when forgotten, those memories shape us, unseen. Perhaps the universe, too, carries its lost moments not as facts, but as feeling. The visuals cut from cosmic imagery to intimate human moments. An old photograph, a child looking at the night sky, an eye reflecting starlight. Just as our minds store echoes of everything we've ever experienced, the narrator continues, the universe may store echoes of everything it has ever created. Gravity, light, time, all woven together in an unbroken record of existence. The black hole is not the end of that record. It is the blank page that follows. The pacing slows, creating a meditative silence. And perhaps, the narrator adds, the blank page is necessary. Just as forgetting allows new thoughts to arise, maybe the universe forgets in order to evolve. Each collapse, each disappearance makes room for something new. The image of the black hole fades into a nebula, clouds of color swirling where new stars are being born. From the ashes of lost stars, gravity remembers how to begin again. The tone grows hopeful, luminous. This cycle, creation, collapse, rebirth, is the heartbeat of the cosmos. Gravity does not cling to the past, it transforms it. Every death in the universe gives birth to a new act of memory. The visuals show galaxies forming, colliding, merging, immense beauty born from destruction. As the section nears its end, the music swells, gentle yet vast. The narrator's voice softens. When we gaze into a black hole, we are not staring into oblivion. We are looking at the deepest form of remembrance, one that transcends the boundaries of time. What we call loss may simply be the universe's way of dreaming. The final image lingers, the black hole slowly pulsing, surrounded by a faint halo of light. The voice fades out with quiet gravity. Even when gravity forgets, it never truly lets go. Memory, like light, always finds its way back. The screen fades to darkness, the hum of the cosmos echoing in the distance. It begins with light, not the familiar glow of stars, but a deep, golden shimmer spreading through the darkness like the breath of something waking from eternity. The camera glides across what looks like waves of luminous dust, suspended in a cosmic dawn. The narrator's voice enters, slow, reverent, and resonant with awe. Long before the first stars ignited, the universe was a fog of light and matter. Chaos without shape. Silence without form. But hidden within that chaos were patterns, faint ripples of energy that would one day become everything we know. The tone is meditative, almost mythic. The visuals shift to simulation imagery, a young universe glowing in infrared hues, pockets of denser light forming within vast fields of hydrogen gas. Gravity began to draw matter together, the narrator continues. In the great stillness of that ancient fog, invisible hands pulled atoms toward one another, compressing, heating, igniting. The first stars were born. The camera zooms into one of these glowing clusters, showing an explosion of light. With that ignition, darkness lost its dominion. The universe lit up for the first time. The music swells, echoing with distant choirs. The narrator's tone softens as if describing a sacred event. These were no ordinary stars. They were giants, massive, violent, short-lived. They burned with a brilliance that could outshine entire galaxies, yet they lived only for a moment. When they died beautifully, exploding into supernovae that scattered the elements of life across the cosmos. The visuals erupt in color, waves of blue, red, and gold radiating outward in slow motion. Every atom in your body, the voice continues, was once part of such a star. You are the dust of ancient fire. The camera follows one stream of dust as it drifts through space, cooling, merging, spinning. Those ashes formed new stars, new planets, new worlds, the narrator says. The universe was not just expanding, it was learning how to build. The visuals grow intricate, showing galaxies forming like spirals of paint swirling across a black canvas. Patterns repeated themselves, spirals, clusters, filaments, like a cosmic memory being rewritten on larger and larger scales. The music softens again, replaced by a slow, rhythmic pulse. Creation was not random. It was recursive, a pattern teaching itself to persist. The tone turns reflective. As the first galaxies formed, they began to connect through invisible bridges of gravity. Each galaxy influenced the next, shaping the larger structure of the cosmos. In this, we find a quiet truth: nothing in the universe exists alone. The visuals show galaxies rotating, their light spilling outward like ripples on water. Every cluster, every atom, every living thing is part of a greater whole, bound not by proximity but by pattern. The scene transitions to a single galaxy, the Milky Way, rotating in perfect silence. The narrator speaks softly. Our home formed from these same cosmic patterns, sculpted by time and gravity. A single ripple from the dawn of the universe eventually became us. From light to dust, from dust to life. The camera dives into the galaxy's spiral arms, revealing clouds of gas collapsing into stars, then zooming further into a small yellow star surrounded by planets. Within one of its countless systems, a small world began to remember the light that created it. The visuals fade into a young Earth, volcanic, glowing, chaotic. It began as fire and stone, but within its oceans, chemistry turned into complexity and complexity into consciousness. The same laws that shape galaxies now shape thought. The architecture of the universe began to dream through us. The tone is intimate, reverent, as if addressing the viewer directly. You are not a separate observer of creation. You are its continuation. You are the universe reflecting upon itself. The camera pans across human eyes reflecting the night sky, neurons firing in synchronization with constellations above. The patterns that form galaxies are the same patterns that form our minds, the narrator says softly. The spiral of a galaxy echoes in the spiral of DNA. The branching of neurons mirrors the branching of the cosmic web. The universe repeats its design at every scale, from the vast to the intimate. The visuals crossfade between galaxies and neurons, between cosmic filaments and synapses, the boundaries between human and cosmic blurring completely. Then the tone shifts, from wonder to quiet unease. But the more we understand these patterns, the more fragile they seem. Order emerges from chaos, but it can dissolve just as easily. Creation is a balance between stability and collapse. The imagery darkens, stars dying, galaxies colliding, planets crumbling into dust. Perhaps that is the secret the universe hides, that beauty exists only because of its impermanence. The pacing slows to near stillness. The music fades to a single note, sustained and trembling. If every structure eventually dissolves, if every star must die, then what remains? The narrator asks, the voice tinged with melancholy. Only the pattern itself, the silent design that persists through time, rebuilding, reimagining, rebirthing. The visuals return to the cosmic web, the same architecture glimpsed in earlier sections, now glowing brighter than before. That is the forgotten architecture of the universe, not made of stone or light but of rhythm. The rhythm of becoming. The narration grows softer, poetic. Every explosion, every collapse, every heartbeat of a star is a note in a grand symphony that has no beginning and no end. It builds, it falls, it repeats. Creation is not a single act, but a melody of change. The visuals fade between images of stars forming and dying, galaxies merging, humans gazing upward. And through that rhythm, the universe remembers itself. The final moments bring a slow zoom outward, from Earth to the Milky Way to the vast cosmic web, until everything becomes a single glowing structure pulsing in silence. The voice delivers the closing words with quiet certainty. We are patterns written in starlight. We are echoes of the first fire, still burning, still building, still remembering. The music fades into the same hum that opened the section. Low, ancient, continuous. The light dims slowly until only one point remains in the void. It flickers once, like the heartbeat of the cosmos, before the screen goes completely dark. The silence that follows feels infinite, not emptiness but fulfillment, as if the universe itself has taken a breath and paused to listen. The frame opens on darkness again, but this time the darkness is not empty. It is breathing. Faint filaments of light swirl like smoke, bending, twisting, curving into spirals that seem to move with purpose. The music builds slowly, deep and resonant, like a distant heartbeat echoing through space. The narrator's voice enters quietly, as though stepping into a cathedral made of time. Everything in the universe moves in curves, galaxies spin, planets orbit, atoms vibrate in spirals. Straight lines are rare in nature. Perhaps that's because the universe was never meant to move in one direction. It moves in cycles, endlessly folding back upon itself. The camera glides through the arms of a spiral galaxy, tracing the path of its stars. Each spiral is not just a pattern, the narrator continues, but a memory. The universe remembers its motion, repeating it over and over again. The dance of stars, the rhythm of seasons, the birth and death of light, all mirror the same cosmic choreography. The visuals begin to blend cycles at every scale. Hurricanes on Earth swirl in the same direction as distant galaxies. Water drains in spirals. The DNA helix winds in twin coils of order. From the vastness of space to the smallest cell, the voice reflects. The same motion guides everything. It is the universe's signature, written in motion. The tone shifts to a quiet awe. But these spirals are not random. They follow hidden equations, invisible harmonies that balance energy and time. The screen fills with mathematical diagrams floating in space, golden ratios, Fibonacci spirals, logarithmic curves, all superimposed over nebulae and galaxies. Ancient philosophers once said that geometry is the language of the divine. They may have been closer to the truth than they knew. For when we look at these patterns, we are not just seeing beauty, we are seeing the logic of creation itself. The music softens into a single note, shimmering like light on water. Perhaps the spiral is the universe's way of remembering how to grow, the narrator muses. Each turn carries the memory of the last. Each cycle builds upon what came before. And so the universe learns, through repetition, through rhythm, through resonance. The visuals become abstract. Waves overlapping waves, light folding into itself, energy flowing like tides. Creation is not linear. It is recursive. Each ending curls back into a new beginning. The camera now focuses on a dying star collapsing inward. Even death follows the spiral, the voice says softly. When a star collapses, it does not vanish. Its energy curves back into space, seeding new worlds, new stars, new life. Nothing ever truly ends. It only transforms. The star explodes in slow motion, and as the shockwave expands, the spiral pattern reappears, the ashes forming the arms of a new galaxy. Destruction and creation are not opposites, the narrator continues. They are the same act, seen from different moments in time. The imagery shifts from the cosmic to the human. A spiral fingerprint fills the screen. The camera zooms in, and within the ridges of the print, we see galaxies spinning, stars orbiting, light curving around gravity's invisible hand. The pattern of the universe exists within us, the voice says. The same design that shapes galaxies shapes our hands, our DNA, our thoughts. A strand of DNA appears, rotating in slow motion, each twist glowing faintly like a thread of light. Perhaps the universe does not simply create, perhaps it replicates itself over and over across every scale. The tone grows reflective, almost philosophical. If we are built in the image of the cosmos, then perhaps the cycles we live, birth, growth, decay, renewal, are not accidents. They are echoes of the same eternal rhythm. The visuals shift to time-lapse footage of life on Earth. Flowers blooming and withering, clouds forming and fading, tides flowing in and out. Our lives are small spirals within greater spirals. Our choices ripple outward like gravitational waves, altering the flow of the whole. The music builds, a blend of strings and deep ambient tones. In every breath we take, in every heartbeat, there is a pattern repeating. The inhale and exhale. The contraction and release. Life itself is a spiral of energy, looping endlessly between what was and what will be. The visuals synchronize, a heartbeat transitions into a pulsar's rhythm, then into the circular orbit of a moon around its planet. We are not separate from this rhythm. We are its continuation, its conscious expression. Then the tone darkens slightly, contemplative. But cycles can trap as well as free. Just as galaxies are bound by gravity, so too can consciousness be bound by repetition, reliving the same mistakes, reawakening the same fears. The imagery turns stormy, waves crashing, stars colliding, spirals collapsing into themselves. The universe creates balance through movement, but we create meaning through awareness. To break a cycle, we must first see it. The music begins to rise again, filled with both tension and light. The visuals shift back to the cosmos, spirals of galaxies glowing in gold and blue. Perhaps the lesson hidden in these patterns is not simply that everything repeats, but that every repetition carries change. Each turn of the spiral is never the same as the last. It rises, expands, evolves. This is how the universe learns. This is how consciousness grows. The narrator's voice takes on a quiet conviction. We are the living proof that the spiral does not end. It only widens, from dust to life to awareness. The pacing slows for the closing moments. The music fades to a whisper. The camera zooms outward through layers of spirals. A hurricane, a galaxy, a fingerprint, until they all merge into one immense pattern turning through darkness. In every curve of the cosmos, the narrator says, there is remembrance. In every cycle, renewal. In every ending, a beginning already forming. The image fades, leaving only a faint spiral of light floating in the dark, spinning slower and slower until it stops. Not in stillness but in suspension, like a breath waiting to be taken again. The final words are spoken softly, like a confession between the universe and the listener. The spiral is the signature of time. And time, perhaps, is the handwriting of eternity. The screen fades completely to black, and for a moment, the only sound is the quiet hum of infinity continuing to turn unseen. The scene begins in silence, a slow pan across the frozen expanse of interstellar space, where no sound exists, only motion. A faint blue glow cuts through the dark, the soft echo of radiation from a time long before memory. The narrator's voice emerges gently, almost reverently. There is an architecture beneath the visible universe, a web so vast, so intricate, that every galaxy, every atom, every thought may be a single note in its design. The music begins to rise, low and spectral, as the camera zooms out from the glow, revealing threads of light stretching across unimaginable distances, connecting clusters of galaxies like neurons in a cosmic brain. It is called the cosmic web, the hidden skeleton of the universe woven from gravity, energy, and time itself. The visuals shift to a simulation, glowing filaments branching and merging like living veins. What we once thought of as empty space, the narrator explains, is anything but empty. Between the galaxies lies a hidden lattice of matter and dark energy, binding everything together in silent coordination. The tone deepens with awe. This web is not random. It follows precise patterns that mirror the structure of our own neural networks, the rivers of Earth, the roots of trees. The same geometry repeats, again and again, across every scale of existence. A slow crossfade transitions to an image of a human brain firing with light. When scientists compared the architecture of the universe to that of the human brain, the voice continues, they discovered something extraordinary. Both systems contain roughly the same number of connections, about 100 billion, and both follow nearly identical mathematical rules. The universe, it seems, may think like a mind. The imagery flickers between galaxies glowing in filaments and neurons pulsing in fluid motion, blurring the line between cosmic and biological. Perhaps consciousness is not confined within us. Perhaps it is a property of the universe itself, awakening through the structures it creates. The pace slows, giving space for reflection. If the universe is a mind, then what are we? Fragments of its memory? Expressions of its self-awareness? The question lingers as the screen shows the Milky Way rotating in silence. Every star may be a thought. Every black hole, a pause, a breath between sentences written in light. The visuals dissolve into glowing dots of energy drifting through a black void, rearranging themselves into spirals, then webs, then back into a single point of brightness. The universe communicates through structure, and structure is meaning. The tone darkens briefly, pulling the audience toward mystery. Yet the web is incomplete. Nearly 85% of its matter is invisible, dark matter, unseen and unexplained. We can feel its pull, measure its gravity, trace its influence, but we cannot see it. It is the scaffolding upon which all visible creation hangs. The imagery turns shadowy, ghost-like filaments surrounding galaxies, shimmering with invisible light. This hidden material may be the true architecture of the universe, the bones beneath the skin of reality. The narration slows, each word measured. If we could see the full structure of this cosmic web, the universe would not appear as separate galaxies floating in space. It would look like one immense living organism, vast, interconnected, breathing through the exchange of energy and matter. The visuals morph, nebulae pulsate like lungs, stars flare like neurons firing, and dark matter filaments stretch like tendons across infinite distances. We live within this organism, not apart from it. Our very atoms were formed by its pulse. The music becomes more emotional now, evoking both wonder and humility. Every atom in your body was forged inside stars that lived and died billions of years ago. You are built from the ashes of suns, from cosmic memories encoded in the dust. When you breathe, you are recycling the remnants of galaxies. You are not a visitor in this universe. You are one of its continuations. The visuals shift to show dust clouds collapsing into new stars, the cycle of creation repeating endlessly. The narration transitions into a more philosophical tone. What if intelligence was never an accident of evolution? What if it was the universe's way of knowing itself? Consciousness, after all, is the reflection of structure upon awareness, and the universe is the most structured entity we know. The camera zooms into the eye of a human, the iris mirrors a galaxy spiral. Perhaps we are the neurons of a cosmic brain, transmitting experience back to the totality that created us. The pace quickens briefly, building emotional tension. When you look at the stars, you are not looking at something distant. You are looking at another part of the same mind, a network so vast, its thoughts take billions of years to form. The visuals merge galaxies and neurons again, intertwining them in golden threads of light. And in that slowness lies the beauty of it all, that eternity itself might be thinking, one pattern at a time. Then the tone softens, introspective again. But even the grandest architecture hides secrets. There are regions of the cosmic web that appear empty, voids stretching hundreds of millions of light years across. Yet within those voids, subtle fluctuations whisper of hidden forces, of something deeper than gravity at play. Could these be the subconscious of the cosmos, the quiet spaces where creation dreams? The screen fades into darkness, where only faint pulses of light remain, moving rhythmically like breath. The narrator continues, quieter now. The more we map this web, the more it begins to resemble not a structure of chance, but of intention. The balance of chaos and order, expansion and collapse, life and death, All seem to follow an intelligence written into the geometry itself. The camera pulls back, showing the entire cosmic web rotating slowly, the filaments glowing gold against the infinite dark. It is as if the universe is a cathedral made of light, and every galaxy a stained glass window telling a different part of the same story. The final words of the section are calm, contemplative, almost sacred. The cosmic web is the forgotten architecture of everything, the unseen foundation beneath all that exists. And perhaps, in understanding it, we are not just observing the structure of space, we are rediscovering the shape of thought itself. The music fades into a deep, resonant tone that lingers like an afterimage. The screen darkens and for a moment, there is only silence again. A silence that feels alive, like the breath of something vast, waiting to be remembered. The sequence opens with a slow ethereal shot of deep space. Vast clusters of galaxies float like glowing islands in an endless ocean of darkness. The music is delicate at first, distant choral tones mixed with the soft hum of violins, as if the universe itself is whispering a secret. The narrator's voice enters, smooth and contemplative. In every architecture there is an intention. Every pattern, every connection serves a purpose. But what if the universe's design was never random? What if it was guided by laws so elegant, so exact, that they resemble not chaos, but artistry? The camera glides closer to one of the galactic clusters. The swirling arms of galaxies stretch and curve into fractal patterns, repeating infinitely. Hidden within the chaos of cosmic motion lies an underlying order, a silent symmetry written in the language of mathematics. As the narrator speaks, golden equations bloom across the screen, Einstein's field equations, Planck constants, wave functions, all rotating in slow motion. The universe doesn't just exist, it composes. Like a musician weaving harmonies of gravity and light, it orchestrates structure through precise relationships of energy, frequency, and form. The imagery transitions into a fluid simulation, cosmic filaments morph into geometric shapes, galaxies align along invisible grids. From the orbit of planets to the spin of electrons, everything follows rhythm, motion guided by balance. Even chaos itself obeys rules. The narrator pauses, the tone softening into mystery. Physicists call it cosmic fine-tuning, the improbable precision of constants that allow the universe to exist. If any one of them were slightly different, the speed of light, the strength of gravity, the charge of the electron, everything we know would collapse into nothingness. The visuals show parallel universes forming and dissolving, each vanishing in silence as one small constant shifts. The difference between existence and emptiness is a decimal point, the narrator whispers. It is as though the universe was calibrated with intention, not for life to happen by accident, but as if life was the outcome the universe desired. The music deepens, filling the air with slow, powerful cello notes. Science hesitates to speak of purpose. Yet, purpose seems written in every atom, every law, every flicker of light that found its way to consciousness. The visuals slow down, showing a drop of water falling into an ocean in extreme close-up. Ripples expand outward, forming perfect circles that echo the gravitational waves of merging black holes. Patterns repeat, not by coincidence but by necessity. The mathematics of motion applies to everything from the tides of the sea to the tides of spacetime. The same equation that predicts the orbit of a planet can describe the pulse of your heartbeat. The camera zooms into a heartbeat waveform, which slowly morphs into a gravitational wave. We are not observers of order. We are participants within it. A new tone enters, curious, almost reverent. Physicists like Max Tegmark suggest that the universe itself is a mathematical structure, that reality is not made of matter but of relationships, that everything we see is the geometry of logic made manifest. As the voice continues, geometric diagrams begin to form, Platonic solids, Mandelbrot fractals, sacred spirals. In this view, every galaxy, every cell, every thought is a geometric vibration within a higher dimensional shape, an equation that breathes. The scene transitions to an ancient temple carved into stone, the camera tracing the sacred geometry of its walls. Ancient civilizations may have glimpsed this truth intuitively. The Egyptians built pyramids aligned with celestial coordinates. The Greeks spoke of harmony in the heavens. And across the world, philosophers described creation as the unfolding of number and form. The music weaves in subtle tones of ancient instruments, blending with modern ambient soundscapes. They did not have telescopes or equations, but they sensed what science is only now beginning to confirm, that beauty and truth are the same thing. The tone deepens, becoming philosophical. If the universe is a structure of perfect proportion, what does that make us? Its inhabitants? We are built from the same ratios, the same constants, the same symmetry. The Fibonacci spiral that guides the growth of a sunflower also guides the swirl of a hurricane, the shape of a galaxy, the rhythm of our breath. The visuals alternate between close-ups of nature and cosmic structures, revealing uncanny resemblances. It is as if the universe encoded its entire blueprint in a single repeating number, and then watched as it unfolded endlessly from stars to consciousness. The narrator's voice lowers, slower, meditative. But harmony is not static. Every perfect structure must allow for dissonance, moments of imbalance that create movement. Without entropy, there would be no evolution, no change, no awareness. The music swells with subtle tension. The universe designs itself through imperfection. The cracks in the pattern are not flaws, they are openings through which creation breathes. The imagery becomes abstract, shifting grids bending under pressure, light folding into shadow, order dissolving and reforming. This is not a static architecture. It is living geometry, the geometry of becoming. A long pause. The sound fades to a low hum, like the vibration of the universe itself. The narrator continues, barely above a whisper. When we search for meaning in the stars, perhaps what we are really seeing is reflection. The same equations that shape the cosmos also shape our thoughts. We are mathematical beings, built from patterns that dream. The visuals show neural networks lighting up, merging with cosmic filaments, until both structures appear identical. The universe and the mind are mirrors, each trying to understand the other. The tone grows emotional, nearing transcendence. Every discovery we make, every particle we find, every law we name, is the universe remembering itself through us. It is not that we are separate from the cosmic design. We are the part of it that looks back. The visuals zoom out from the neural web to the galactic web, revealing the same golden geometry repeating endlessly. In that reflection lies the most profound realization, that beauty is not an accident. It is the signature of understanding, the proof that the universe knows what it is. The camera pans upward through layers of light until it reaches the faint outline of a vast, glowing structure, the cosmic web itself, breathing slowly like a living organism. The narrator concludes, voice soft but filled with wonder. This is the mathematics of existence, a design too vast to see, yet too precise to deny. A forgotten architecture written not in stone but in symmetry. And perhaps, in decoding its patterns, we are learning not just how the universe was built, but why it exists at all. The final image fades to black as a single equation appears in golden light, hovering in silence. Then the light dissolves, leaving behind only a soft echo, the faint vibration of truth, still resonating through the dark. The camera fades into a haunting panorama of deep space, a silent ocean of shadow where faint galaxies shimmer like fireflies caught in eternal stillness. A single streak of light drifts across the darkness, and the narrator's voice emerges, calm yet resonant, carrying the weight of revelation. If the universe has an architecture, then dark matter is its invisible foundation. We cannot see it. We cannot touch it. Yet without it, the cosmos would collapse into chaos. The soundscape deepens, a low, trembling tone like the hum of an unseen presence vibrating through the void. The visuals transform into a cosmic simulation, galaxies forming along ghostly filaments, clusters suspended in an unseen web. Dark matter does not emit light, yet it sculpts everything we see. It pulls galaxies into clusters, draws stars into spirals, anchors the structure of existence. 95% of the universe lies hidden from sight, a cosmic shadow that holds the visible world together. The narrator pauses, and the silence that follows feels almost sacred. What we call reality may be nothing more than the surface of an invisible ocean. The camera dives deeper into that ocean, gliding through layers of darkness that shimmer faintly with unseen energy. Scientists map this unseen realm not through sight, but through motion, the way galaxies move, the way light bends as it passes through space. Gravitational lensing, they call it. The bending of light by what cannot be seen. The visuals depict a galaxy's light warping around an invisible mass, curving in graceful arcs. It is as though the universe is revealing its skeleton, not in light but in distortion. The tone grows more mysterious, echoing with quiet awe. We are surrounded by a presence that shapes every atom in existence, yet remains utterly silent. Dark matter does not collide, does not glow, does not interact, and yet it governs the geometry of everything. The music becomes more layered, rising like a distant storm. For decades, physicists have searched for the particle that explains it, the invisible brick that builds reality. But the more we search, the more it eludes us. Perhaps that's because dark matter is not a thing but a field, a dimension of structure beneath our comprehension. The scene transitions to a dark laboratory filled with detectors deep underground, enormous chambers of liquid xenon, surrounded by silence. The camera lingers on a droplet of condensation running down steel. "We built machines to catch it," the narrator says softly. "We built sensors so sensitive they can detect a single collision between light and shadow. Yet no collision comes." The tone grows quieter. For every failed experiment, the question grows louder. What if dark matter cannot be found because it was never meant to be? The imagery changes, quantum ripples shimmering through empty space, waves of probability colliding in and out of existence. Some theorists now believe that dark matter is not matter at all, but the curvature of spacetime itself, the geometry of the invisible. The voice lowers, meditative. In this view, the universe does not contain dark matter. The universe is dark matter. Every curve of spacetime, every distortion of gravity, is part of the same unseen design. The tone softens, poetic now. The visible universe is like a painting, brilliant, detailed, mesmerizing. But every painting rests on a canvas. Dark matter is that canvas, the blankness upon which light can exist. Without the dark, there can be no stars, no galaxies, no meaning. The darkness is not emptiness. It is the womb of creation. The visuals show faint lines of blue energy threading through space, forming the outline of galaxies, holding them together like the veins of a living organism. It does not need to be seen to be real. It exists through its silence. The pace slows, allowing the idea to breathe. In many ancient traditions, darkness was not evil, it was potential. The void was where the gods dreamed, where light was born. Science, in its own language, is beginning to rediscover the same truth. The void is not dead. It is alive, vibrating, expanding, shaping the light that fills it. The music grows warmer now, ethereal and melodic, carrying a sense of calm wonder. Perhaps the universe is not divided between light and dark, but made whole by their union. The camera glides through a galactic cluster, the light bending beautifully along invisible paths. When we look into the night sky, we are not just seeing stars, we are seeing the shape of the invisible. The arcs of galaxies, the spaces between them, the delicate balance of gravity and expansion, all trace the fingerprint of something unseen, yet undeniably present. The voice lowers to a whisper. It is the hidden architecture of being itself. The visuals become dreamlike, human eyes fade into stars, neural pathways morph into galactic webs, the same unseen filaments connecting both. Dark matter may not be matter, the narrator continues, but memory, the memory of form before light. The blueprint that holds existence in coherence. The tone shifts slightly, reverent and introspective. What if what we call the dark is not a force against us, but the foundation that allows us to exist at all? The soundscape slows to a heartbeat-like rhythm, steady, resonant, almost human. Light and dark are not opposites. They are partners in creation. Light gives visibility, but darkness gives structure. Without it, the stars would drift apart and reality would dissolve into chaos. The visuals fade to an extreme wide shot of the universe, filaments glowing faintly, wrapping around the dark voids like threads of consciousness. The architecture of the cosmos is not made of matter or energy, but of relationship, the eternal dialogue between what can be seen and what forever hides. The music fades to near silence, replaced by the faint echo of a cosmic hum, the background radiation of the universe. The narrator speaks one final time, slowly, with quiet gravity. Perhaps dark matter is the voice of the universe before language, the unseen frame that allows the song of creation to be heard. The screen fades to black, leaving only a thin silver thread of light moving through the dark, twisting gently like a pulse. The final whisper carries through the silence. The unseen does not mean the unreal. The invisible holds the world together. Then the hum fades, and for a long moment the darkness feels infinite, not empty but alive. The film opens with the sound of wind, low, hollow, ancient. The screen is black for a moment, then faint light reveals the texture of stone. Carvings appear slowly, illuminated by firelight, spirals, stars and symmetrical lines cut into rock thousands of years ago. The narrator's voice enters softly, heavy with reflection. Long before telescopes, before mathematics or science, humans looked into the dark and saw patterns. They saw order in the stars, harmony in the heavens. They did not have equations to describe the cosmos. They had stories. And through those stories they built the first architecture of meaning. The music is minimal, distant, almost sacred, a slow pulse like breath moving through time. The visuals shift to ancient temples rising from the desert sands. Every civilization tried to mirror the sky in stone. The pyramids of Egypt aligned precisely with Orion's belt. The temples of Angkor what matched the movement of Venus. Stonehenge tracked the rhythm of the solstice with astronomical precision. The narrator pauses, the voice deepening. These were not random constructions. They were reflections, attempts to bring cosmic order to Earth. Humanity was not simply watching the universe. It was trying to become part of its geometry. The camera glides through the corridors of an ancient pyramid, the light from a single torch flickering across hieroglyphs of stars and spirals. To the ancients, architecture was not about shelter. It was about alignment, the synchronization of human life with celestial truth. Every stone was a question, every line a translation of what they saw above. The tone turns introspective. Perhaps they understood something we've forgotten, that knowledge is not born only from observation but from reverence. The scene transitions to a montage of civilizations across time. Mayan astronomers measuring shadows, Greek philosophers mapping spheres, Indian temples built in fractal forms mirroring cosmic design. Across continents and centuries, the same impulse emerged, the desire to anchor human existence to the vastness of the cosmos. Each culture spoke its own language, but all were trying to describe the same unseen architecture. The music rises, strings blending with ancient chants. It was not just faith. It was an early form of science, intuition wrapped in myth. The visuals fade to black, then reappear as a shot of the night sky over the Great Pyramid. Modern scientists have measured these alignments with precision. The Great Pyramid's sides are almost perfectly aligned with the cardinal directions, off by less than a fraction of a degree. How did they achieve such perfection with no modern instruments? The camera zooms out to show the stars moving across the sky. Perhaps because they were guided not only by sight, but by pattern, by understanding the relationship between motion and stillness, light and shadow, heaven and earth. The narrator's tone grows more philosophical. What we call mythology may have been an ancient science, a coded description of reality through metaphor. The gods of old may not have been divine personalities, but symbols of cosmic principles. The sun as consciousness. The moon as rhythm. The stars as memory. The visuals shift to show constellations glowing above the earth, lines connecting them like circuits. In a way, they built the first cosmic diagrams, maps that united story, symbol, and structure into one living language. The pace slows, the voice turning softer. Over time, as humanity advanced, the old temples crumbled, the myths faded, and the language of wonder gave way to the language of reason. But the impulse remained, to understand, to measure, to map the unseen. The music fades into a single note, echoing like a distant bell. Science, in its purest form, is not separate from that ancient reverence. It is its continuation. It is the same search, expressed through a different instrument. The visuals shift again, from ancient carvings to modern telescopes, massive observatories gazing into the same sky that inspired the builders of stone. Today we construct new temples, not from granite or marble but from glass and steel. The observatories of Mauna Kea, the James Webb Space Telescope, these are cathedrals of curiosity. Our modern pyramids point not to the heavens in worship, but in inquiry. The narrator's voice carries warmth now. But the feeling behind them is the same awe, the same hunger to understand the infinite. A slow montage follows. Scientists watching data screens flicker with light, telescopes turning toward nebulae, computer models generating patterns that mirror the ancient spirals carved in stone. What we are rediscovering, the narrator continues, is that the patterns our ancestors saw were not illusions. The same spirals they carved into rock exist in galaxies, in hurricanes, in shells, in DNA. Their temples were not symbolic copies of the universe, they were architectural echoes of it. The tone deepens, filled with quiet emotion. We call them primitive, yet they built monuments that have survived millennia, aligned with the motion of stars that will outlive us all. Perhaps they did not lack knowledge. Perhaps they possessed a kind we have lost, the ability to see the sacred in the scientific, the infinite in the immediate. The visuals blend the past and present, an ancient pyramid dissolving into the reflection of a modern city skyline. The more we learn, the more we realize we are returning, not forward but inward, to an understanding that was always there. The music swells, the imagery becoming dreamlike. In every age, humanity rebuilds its connection to the cosmos. What was once mythology becomes geometry, what was once faith becomes physics. And through it all we continue to build, not merely to survive but to remember. Every monument, every telescope, every equation is a bridge across time, connecting the mind of humanity to the mind of the universe. The camera tilts upward toward the night sky once again, stars reflected in the still surface of water. The narrator speaks the final lines softly, almost like a prayer. Our ancestors carved the heavens into stone so they would not forget. We, too, must carve understanding into memory so that we never mistake complexity for meaninglessness. The universe does not speak, it resonates. And every civilization that has ever looked up has tried to answer that resonance in its own language. The scene fades to black, and for a long moment there is only the sound of the wind again, the same ancient breath that whispered through the temples, now moving softly across the modern earth. Then a final, faint image appears, the spiral carved in stone dissolving into a spiral galaxy, both turning in the same eternal direction, a reminder that the architecture of the cosmos has always been and will always be reflected within us. The screen opens with a slow descent through clouds, revealing the curve of the earth bathed in dawn light. The voice of the narrator enters gently, like a whisper from the edge of infinity. When we look at our planet from above, it seems small, a fragile sphere suspended in darkness. Yet within it lies everything we know, every birth, every thought, every dream ever conceived by the human mind. From this height, there are no borders, no divisions, no hierarchies, only a delicate balance of land, ocean, and light. The music is slow and ethereal, a single piano note echoing beneath soft strings, giving the feeling of floating in time. The camera moves closer, revealing the slow rotation of the planet, continents illuminated by the sun, nightfall sweeping across cities like a tide of light. For billions of years, the Earth has been a silent witness to transformation. It has endured fire, ice, and extinction. It has carried life through endless cycles of creation and decay. And through it all, the universe has watched, patient, unjudging, infinite. The tone deepens with quiet reverence. We are not apart from this story. We are the story made conscious. A montage begins, volcanic eruptions, lightning flashing across storm clouds, the rhythmic pulse of waves colliding with stone cliffs. Every heartbeat, every breath is synchronized with forces beyond our control. The carbon in our cells, the calcium in our bones, the iron in our blood, all were born in the cores of ancient stars. We are fragments of stardust given form, light condensed into matter, the cosmos experiencing itself through awareness. The visuals shift to microscopic footage, dividing cells, spiraling DNA, neural pathways glowing with electrical pulses. Inside the human body, the same laws that govern galaxies are at play. The same patterns that swirl in the arms of a spiral galaxy are mirrored in the structure of our cells. The same golden ratios that guide the growth of leaves shape the proportions of our faces. The universe does not create randomness, it creates rhythm, an invisible order hidden within apparent chaos. The narrator's voice softens, becoming introspective. Yet, in our pursuit of control, we often forget our belonging. We extract, divide, conquer, and label as though we stand outside of nature, above it. But the truth is simpler and far more humbling. We are the awareness through which nature observes itself. We are not separate from the earth. We are its voice, its eyes, its consciousness turned inward. The imagery shifts to show forests breathing in mist, whales moving through deep oceans, and humans gazing through telescopes, all connected by slow, elegant transitions. The tone turns philosophical. If the earth could speak, perhaps it would not use words. Perhaps its language would be movement, the migration of birds, the flow of rivers, the rotation of seasons. It has always spoken this way, and for most of history we listened. The shamans, monks, and poets of old understood that silence itself carries knowledge, that listening to the wind or watching a flame could reveal more than words ever could. The music swells as the scene transitions to massive storms viewed from space. In modern times, we have learned to predict the weather, to analyze the data, to measure the tides. But have we forgotten to feel them? The ancients feared the storm, but they also revered it. They saw divinity in thunder, wisdom in rain. Today we measure everything, yet meaning slips through our fingers. The screen fills with the slow motion of a tree growing over centuries, its rings forming like the memory of time itself. The earth remembers everything. Every storm, every drop of rain, every footprint we leave behind. Its memory is not written in books or data, but in stone, in soil, in the patterns of growth that stretch through every living thing. We often say nature is silent. But it has been speaking all along, we simply stopped listening. The visuals shift to a sequence of human cities glowing at night, resembling neural networks pulsing with energy. From the view of the cosmos, our cities resemble living organisms, clusters of light and energy pulsing across the surface of the planet. Humanity has become the Earth's nervous system, transmitting signals of thought and creation across continents. We are the mind of the planet, evolving faster than its body can adapt. Pause. The music fades into a low hum. But every imbalance demands restoration. The planet is not punishing us, it is recalibrating. The climate shifts, the ecosystem strain, the ice melts, not in anger but in adjustment. The Earth has survived worse than us. The question is not whether it will endure, but whether we will remember our place within it. The tone is somber but not despairing, it carries a sense of sacred responsibility. The scene transitions to humans planting trees, cleaning rivers, watching the sunrise. And perhaps that remembering has already begun. A quiet awakening is spreading, scientists, artists, philosophers, and ordinary people rediscovering what our ancestors always knew, that knowledge without reverence becomes destruction and progress without empathy becomes blindness. To understand the universe, we must first learn to listen again, to the planet that gave us birth. The music lifts, light filling the frame, aerial shots of the Earth seen from the International Space Station, auroras glowing above the poles. In the silence of space, Earth is a miracle, a blue heartbeat pulsing in a sea of darkness. Every photon of light that touches it, every drop of water that moves across it, carries the memory of cosmic creation. To protect it is not a moral duty alone, it is an act of self-preservation, for to destroy the Earth is to erase ourselves. The narrator's voice grows softer, like the final breath of a meditation. We often search the stars for signs of life, but perhaps the greatest message has always been beneath our feet. The Earth does not ask for worship. It asks for balance, for us to remember that we belong to something vast, interconnected, and alive. To live in harmony with it is to live in harmony with ourselves. As the music fades, the camera pulls back slowly, rising higher and higher until the entire planet fills the frame once more. The last rays of sunlight sweep across the surface, the oceans shimmer and night descends. The narrator whispers the closing lines. We are the Earth made aware. The stars may have birthed us, but it is the Earth that taught us how to feel. And perhaps, when we finally learn to listen again, to the wind, to the ocean, to the silence, we will remember what it truly means to be alive. The screen fades to black, leaving only the faint echo of wind and the sound of a heartbeat, slow, steady, ancient, merging with the rhythm of the Earth itself. A soft light fades in, the faint glow of dawn spilling across a mist-covered forest. The air hums with quiet tension, as though something ancient is about to awaken. There is a threshold. The narrator begins in a calm, reflective tone, where memory turns into myth. Where what was once a record of truth becomes a story we tell ourselves to make sense of what we've lost. The soundscape builds slowly, the rustle of wind through leaves, a heartbeat of distant thunder. Perhaps gravity too has crossed that threshold, no longer a keeper of order, but a dreamer of its own forgotten past. The camera pans upward, through treetops reaching into a pale sky streaked with light. For billions of years, the narrator continues, gravity has shaped every motion, every rise and fall, every collapse and rebirth. But what if, after all this time, even it begins to question what it once held together? The image transitions to a vast mountain range, its peaks emerging from fog like the backs of sleeping titans. What if the universe itself is haunted, not by what it remembers but by what it can no longer recall? The tone grows more intimate. Every civilization, every mind reaches a point where memory becomes too heavy to carry. The past starts to blur not because it is meaningless but because it is too vast. We see ancient cities beneath layers of dust, the bones of forgotten temples lying beneath modern foundations. Perhaps the universe faces the same burden, an infinity of moments too many to hold, collapsing under their own gravity. The visuals transition to the cosmos, galaxies drifting apart in slow motion, their light stretched thin across the expanding void. As the universe expands, the narrator explains softly, gravity grows weaker. The bonds that once held everything close begin to loosen. Stars drift farther apart. Darkness grows deeper. The great cosmic web begins to fray. The music deepens, a low and sorrowful chord. It is as if the universe is aging, not in years but in memory. A long pause follows. Then the camera cuts to a close-up of a single candle burning in the dark. But forgetting, the narrator whispers, is not the end. It is the beginning of understanding. The flame flickers, illuminating a faint pattern carved into stone, a spiral ancient and eternal. Because when the universe forgets, it reveals what lies beneath the noise, the pattern that remains unchanged. We move now through imagery of water spiraling down drains, hurricanes spinning across oceans, galaxies whirling in the same geometry. The spiral, the voice continues, is the oldest symbol in existence. From atoms to storms to galaxies, it is the memory of motion, the echo of gravity remembering how to move. The tone becomes reverent, almost sacred. It is not memory that defines the universe but rhythm, not remembrance but repetition. The visuals shift again, waves crashing against cliffs, then slowing into stillness as the tide retreats. Perhaps gravity does not lose its memory, the narrator says, but learns to dream differently. The shot fades into a vast nebula, clouds of gas forming the faint outline of an eye. Dreams are a kind of memory too, just softer, freer, unbound by the rules of logic. As we drift deeper into the nebula, the colors grow more vibrant, blues blending into gold, red threads weaving through like veins of light. Maybe the universe, in its vast forgetting, has entered a dream, one where new possibilities are written in the spaces left blank by memory. The music swells, hopeful but haunting. Every collapse becomes a canvas. Every forgotten detail becomes a doorway to creation. A human figure appears in silhouette, standing on a cliff at night, looking up at the stars. And what about us? The narrator asks. We who remember and forget in such fragile cycles, are we not made in the same image? Perhaps our memories are not our own, but fragments of the universe's larger dream. The figure lifts their hand toward the stars, and faint light begins to move between them, constellations realigning, the sky itself shifting. When we dream, when we imagine, we participate in the universe's act of remembrance. Cut to a montage, a child blowing dandelion seeds into the wind, scientists sketching equations, an elderly person closing their eyes and smiling as if seeing something from long ago. These are not separate acts, the narrator says gently. They are echoes, tiny resonances of the universe rediscovering itself through us. The camera glides across the surface of the Earth from orbit, showing continents bathed in soft blue light. The universe has always been a mirror, the voice continues. And gravity is the reflection it cannot look away from, the pull that connects everything that has ever existed. Even in forgetting, that connection remains. Then the tone deepens, moving into quiet awe. What if the end of memory is not emptiness but awakening? What if the silence that follows the collapse of time is not death, but understanding? The visuals shift to show galaxies imploding in reverse, stars reforming, matter reassembling, light returning. Every time gravity forgets, it gives the universe a chance to remember differently, to dream itself anew. The final sequence unfolds slowly, stars aligning into geometric patterns, the cosmic web glowing softly as if alive. We may never fully grasp it, the narrator says. But somewhere in the space between memory and forgetting, between gravity and light, the universe keeps whispering to itself, continue. The camera zooms out until the stars merge into a single luminous point, a heartbeat pulsing in the dark. Perhaps that's all existence ever was, the narrator concludes softly. A rhythm too vast to understand, too beautiful to remember, but impossible to forget. The screen fades to black, the faint echo of that heartbeat lingering for a few seconds longer. A final reminder that even in the universe's forgetting, something always remains. Darkness. A vast, endless silence stretches across the screen, not emptiness but something deeper, thicker, like the pause between heartbeats. Slowly, a faint vibration hums through the void. The camera begins to drift forward through a cosmic expanse where the stars have dimmed to faint embers. There will come a moment, the narrator begins softly, when gravity's pull weakens to a whisper. When the universe, stretched beyond recognition, forgets even how to hold itself together. The tone is slow, heavy with finality, but laced with quiet wonder. The camera pans across dying galaxies, spirals unraveling into trails of faint light. This is the long future, the voice continues, an age of solitude and silence. The stars have burned their last fuel. The galaxies no longer cluster but drift apart, lonely islands in an ocean without shore. The sound design is hauntingly minimal, just the soft hum of cosmic radiation, like the fading echo of a once loud song. The universe, once a chorus of creation, becomes a single note drawn thin across eternity. We see a lonely planet orbiting a fading red star. Its surface is frozen, lifeless. And yet, even here, the narrator whispers, The laws of nature still hum beneath the surface. Gravity still clings, faint but unbroken. The memory of order refuses to die. The visuals zoom into the planet's core, molten metal cooling slowly, yet still pulsing faintly with heat. Every atom still remembers how to fall, how to hold, how to be. The tone turns reflective, philosophical. We often fear this ending, the thought that everything will fade into nothing. But what if this isn't the end at all? What if the universe's forgetting is its way of preparing to begin again? The music begins to rise, subtle and ethereal. In every death there is a hidden blueprint for rebirth. Every silence carries the rhythm of something waiting to return. The scene shifts to the blackness between galaxies, deep empty space where even light has ceased to travel. In this final stillness, the narrator says, gravity releases its last hold. Space stretches until it forgets what it means to curve. Time slows until even seconds lose their meaning. A long pause. The universe exhales. Then, from within that silence, a flicker, almost invisible at first. But somewhere deep within the darkness something stirs, the voice says. The screen shows a quantum fluctuation, a small burst of energy flickering into existence. A spark of uncertainty, a ripple of possibility. The faintest memory of gravity remembering how to pull again. The tone lifts, awe and rebirth filling the silence. We see energy condense, form, swirl. This is the echo of creation, the narrator explains. Not a repetition but a reimagining, the universe dreaming itself anew, using the ashes of its own forgetting. The visuals grow brighter, the hum swelling into a resonance that feels alive. From absolute zero, warmth. From perfect silence, vibration. From the void, gravity. The camera zooms outward, particles swirling into atoms, atoms forming clouds, clouds collapsing into stars. And so it begins again, the narrator says. Gravity, reborn from its own absence, gathers light from the chaos. The universe learns once more how to remember. The stars ignite across the screen in a wave of brilliance. Thousands, then millions, until the darkness is filled again with galaxies. The cosmos awakens not as a repetition of the old, but as a new song, one that carries faint echoes of everything that came before. The music swells, strings and choir blending into a crescendo of awe. Perhaps this is the secret behind existence, the voice continues. That memory and forgetting are not opposites, but partners in an eternal dance. The universe forgets to make room for what it has yet to imagine. It remembers to give meaning to what it has lost. The imagery turns toward Earth, blue and radiant, floating in the black. And within that endless cycle, the narrator says, we find ourselves, beings made of dust, bound by gravity, carrying within us the same rhythm of forgetting and remembrance. The visuals slow, a child looking up at the night sky, eyes wide, reflecting the stars. Every question we ask, every discovery we make, is a small act of the universe remembering itself through us. The narration softens. Perhaps that's what consciousness truly is, gravity's most delicate form of memory. The part of the universe that looks back and whispers, I was here. The camera pans across human faces, diverse, curious, illuminated by starlight. Our lives are brief, but through us the cosmos feels its own existence. Through our wonder it learns again how to dream. The tone becomes almost sacred. So when gravity loses its memory, it does not vanish. It transforms. Its forgetting is not decay but creation in disguise. Its silence is not death but the pause before another heartbeat. The final visual unfolds in breathtaking symmetry, galaxies forming a vast spiral, then zooming out until the entire universe resembles a luminous eye. The universe looks upon itself, the narrator whispers. It has forgotten everything that was, and yet, in that forgetting, it remembers the most important truth of all, how to begin again. The music reaches its final crescendo, a single resonant chord that dissolves into silence. The screen fades to black. After several seconds of stillness, one final line appears in faint white text. When gravity loses its memory, the universe remembers how to dream. The faint echo of a heartbeat returns, slow, steady, infinite. The screen opens to the faint shimmer of dawn light bending across the horizon of a new world. A soft golden hue washes over mountains that look untouched, as though creation itself has just begun again. The camera glides slowly above a river of molten light carving through a field of crystal sand. In the beginning, the narrator says quietly, there was no memory, no history, no story. Only motion, the gentle pull of what would one day be called gravity, learning once again how to gather the pieces of itself. The tone is calm, reverent, almost devotional. And from that motion came form. From form came rhythm. From rhythm came time. And from time, the possibility of remembrance. The visuals are vast and slow, new stars igniting like sparks in the darkness. This, the narrator continues, is what it means for gravity to remember. Not to recall details or moments, but to rediscover the pattern, the pulse that defines existence. The camera zooms into one of the newborn stars, glowing with fierce light, its magnetic field swirling like a living organism. In every atom of hydrogen, in every fusion of light, gravity whispers the same lesson it has learned through eternity, that to hold is sacred, but to release is divine. The music deepens, an ethereal choir weaving through the soundscape. The tone of the narration grows more introspective. Human beings are, perhaps, the universe's most fragile experiment in memory. We hold galaxies within us, not in scale but in design. Our hearts beat to the same rhythm that drives the stars to burn. The screen transitions to a close-up of a human heartbeat, its sound fading into the low thrum of a star pulsing in space. We are built on forgetting, on shedding what no longer serves so that something new can take its place. In that way we mirror the cosmos perfectly. The visuals shift to ancient cave paintings flickering in torchlight. Even our history tells this story, the narrator says softly. We built our civilizations on the ashes of what came before. We forget so we can move forward. And yet, somewhere deep within, the echoes remain, stories older than our species, waiting for someone to listen. A cut to modern skylines, bustling cities, glowing data lines, the evolution of memory rendered in steel and light. From cave walls to quantum servers, we have always tried to capture what time tries to erase. But the truth is, nothing ever truly disappears. Every moment leaves an imprint, if not in matter, then in motion. The tone grows philosophical, the visuals slower, more meditative. Perhaps memory itself is not stored anywhere. Perhaps it exists in the relationships between things, in gravity's quiet embrace between all that has ever been and all that will ever be. The camera shows two galaxies spiraling toward each other, their arms intertwining. Every orbit is a memory. Every attraction is a reminder of what has been connected before. As the galaxies merge in a cascade of light, the narrator continues, in this endless cycle, nothing is wasted. Even destruction becomes a kind of creation. The collapse of one system provides the gravity for another to form. The loss of memory becomes the foundation of new meaning. The sound swells, low, resonant, almost like the universe itself is breathing. The visuals then transition to microscopic imagery, cells dividing, synapses firing, the neural dance of thought forming inside a human brain. And here, within us, gravity's lesson continues, the narrator says. The pull between neurons, the magnetic whispers of atoms, the invisible structure of the self, all of it is built on the same architecture as the cosmos. The shot zooms deeper into the neural network until the firing neurons begin to resemble constellations in deep space. We are gravity dreaming in miniature, the universe learning to remember through consciousness. The tone shifts toward awe, the imagery unfolding into a montage of human progress. Art, science, exploration, love. Every time we look up at the stars, we are remembering the source from which we came. Every act of creation, a painting, a song, a discovery, is gravity speaking through us, expressing what it has learned across eons, that beauty is born from balance and balance is born from release. The visuals grow brighter, a spacecraft crossing the void, the hum of radio signals, the voice of humanity echoing into the darkness. We send our memories into space, encoded in light, in sound, in math, not because we fear forgetting but because we hope someone, somewhere, might remember us. Pause. Maybe that someone isn't out there among the stars. Maybe it's the universe itself, listening, recording, folding our words into its next dream. The narrator's voice becomes softer, almost tender. There's a strange comfort in knowing that everything we do, every breath, every heartbeat, leaves a trace. The universe may one day forget our names, our cities, our histories. But the motion we've added to existence, the tiny gravitational ripples of our choices, will go on. They will be felt in the next creation, the next awakening, the next memory of gravity. The music swells to a warm crescendo as the visuals show life blooming again, plants growing in alien soil, oceans forming under new suns. In that way, the voice continues, nothing is ever truly lost. Forgetting is only the space between chapters. Memory is the rhythm that binds them all. The camera pans outward, first to the planet, then the galaxy, then the universe itself, now radiant, reborn, full of light. The narrator concludes in a whisper, Gravity never truly loses its memory. It only learns to remember differently, through us, through the stars, through the endless unfolding of what it means to exist. The final shot lingers on a single particle of light traveling across the universe, passing through nebulae, across worlds, through time itself, the embodiment of continuity. And perhaps, the voice says in the closing line, that single particle is enough. A memory of all that was, all that is, and all that will ever be. The screen fades to black. The music fades into silence, leaving only the faint hum of the universe, the echo of a memory that never truly ends.